As Vinland Saga fans, I'm sure we're all in agreement that Season 1's final moments had us all on edge, staring at our screens, gasping in awe, and going,
"Put some more! Don't be shy, put some more!"
I'm sure as someone who has a exquisite enough taste to be watching a Guaz video, we can all agree how great this episode was. This episode is what had me running to the manga just to see how the story unfolds. It marks the end of an arc, but also the beginning of our protagonist's new journey as he must overcome the dead end that he's presented with. Vinland Saga's protagonist Thorfinn is easy to describe up to this point. A literal vessel of rage and obsession seeking to carry out vengeance upon the man named Askeladd who's killed his father. Thorfinn, after witnessing his father Thor's death, joins Askeladd's band of Vikings with the promise of being able to duel Askeladd for revenge. We witness Thorfinn transition from your average innocent boy into a cold-blooded murderer whose sole purpose in life is vengeance. Throughout this point, we see Thorfinn do tons of hype-ass stuff, and while Thorfinn has a buttload of interesting feats under his belt, he didn't captivate me as an interesting character at this point. He fell short, in my opinion, to other characters of this series, such as Askeladd the Giga Chad, Thorkel the weird-ass uncle that doesn't get invited to Thanksgiving dinner, and this guy that's over here popping mushroom perks.
Hey, I pop a perk, it give me more stamina. I hit that net like an animal.
Thorfinn to me felt like a cog in machine. When you look at the world and people of Vinland Saga, what is there to Thorfinn that separates him or makes him stick out? Sure, he does a great amount of badass stuff, but this all felt surface level. The person he's out seeking revenge for wouldn't even agree with the path he's taking. I found myself in disagreement with Thorfinn's actions in his process of revenge. How many people have been sacrificed and killed at the hand of Thorfinn for his personal vendetta against Askeladd? It's this scene right here, I don't need to play the clip, if you know, you know, where I really began to disagree with Thorfinn's actions and got turned off from him as a character. And hold up, let me get this right for 1 second. These people took you in, got you fresh, fed you bread with the soup, had you looking like the North's Justin Bieber, and when it all hits the fan and it's time for you to pay them back, now you want to use your little ass boy voice to tell them to run? Aw, nah. Hey yo, Knox, can you believe this?
Bro, I don't know what the fuck is up with this kid.
While Thorfinn is out mobbing with Askeladd's crew, we come to find out his family friend Leif has been searching for his whereabouts, as Thorfinn hasn't returned home since the day his father died. Leif assumes Thorfinn has been sold off as a slave and has been out searching for him in slave markets since that day. And of course, this is a great way for the story to illustrate how unforeseen Thorfinn's changes would be for the people he once knew. But do you know who the hell we're talking about right here? We're talking about Thorfinn, son of Thors, creeping on ops, kicking in doors. This guy and his entire goddamn life will never be sold as no damn slave. So you can imagine the shock I felt when I began reading the manga and started the arc literally known as the slave arc. After witnessing the ending of Vinland Saga's previous arc, it was pretty obvious that a change of pace would be done, but I never expected for it to be done in this manner. I could go on and on about what makes the slave arc great in itself, but there's something special here other than its new approach to storytelling, and that is the change within Thorfinn. After becoming crushed by not being able to achieve his previous ambition, we are reintroduced to Thorfinn in a new state, now completely different from who we knew him as. He is now empty, hollow, and a shell of a human being. His will to live has been lost, and he states that nothing good has come from any of the days he has lived, even getting bullied and fed scraps by those much weaker than him. A man now plagued by nightmares and haunted by the ghosts of the innocent people he has slaughtered. He is filled with regret and remorse. Through the kindness shown to him by his new comrades and friends, we begin to see another interesting change begin to develop within Thorfinn. We see him enjoying his time with people, learning about farming and fishing, and overall begin to be reborn as a new individual. And this, for me, marks when Thorfinn begins to finally become an interesting character. While dreaming, Thorfinn is visited by his father, who then reminds him of the important words he taught to him while he was younger. You have no enemies. No one has any enemies. His dream begins to shift into a hellish nightmare, trapped in a world where people fight but never die in an endless war, but also where those he slaughtered reside, screaming and suffering in anguish. This place is Thorfinn's innermost regrets brought to life. He's then greeted by Askeladd, who fills him in on what this place is. Through Askeladd's guidance, Thorfinn begins to realize sitting and moping over those he killed will do nothing. He must instead atone and carry these souls that haunt him to a place where they could finally rest. He must fight his true battle and become a true warrior. Now setting the goal of never harming another person and renouncing violence completely, Thorfinn's new journey as a man now reborn begins. Thorfinn going through a drastic change wasn't unexpected for me. While watching the prologue, it was always a background thought in my head how boring the show can get if Thorfinn never deviated from his angsty, edgy self. And I think this is something the creator and writers knew, as in the last leg of the prologue, we see Thorfinn in the focus less and less, with Askeladd gaining more and more screen time. With all that said though, I never expected Thorfinn's change to be of this level. Thorfinn setting the goal of never harming another person and being done with violence is a complete 180 from his past self. And although at first a drastic change of this caliber isn't what I first wanted for Thorfinn, I found myself being pulled into him more and more. As we know, the world of Vinland Saga is filled with war and bloodshed, with Thorfinn's Norse culture going against the very path he has chosen, labeling anybody who avoids war or conflict as a coward. Thorfinn going against the grain and becoming such a polarizing figure in his own world made him actually feel like a driving force in his own story, and not just an expendable pawn as he did earlier in the series. I became more fascinated with Thorfinn's journey and wanted to see how he would react to the inevitable obstacles that he would be faced with in the future. Because of this grander goal that Thorfinn has now set for himself, there's more payoff felt when Thorfinn overcomes a roadblock and gets a step closer to this monumental goal. I also have to add how more in line with Thorfinn's initial character this shift is. When we first meet Thorfinn as a young boy, he idolizes his father and aspires to be as great of a man as he is. It was a nice touch to see Thorfinn follow in his father's footsteps and take upon the role he would have if his father was alive to raise him. But most of all, what stuck out to me and really touched my heart was seeing Thorfinn gaining friends and comrades, being able to smile and laugh, and learning that there's so much that life has to offer. It was satisfying to see this boy formerly molded and led astray by his harsh environment finally be able to live like an actual human being. And although Thorfinn is deciding to live a more passive life, he's still badass in his own right. Without giving too much away, his new approach to life makes him solve the problems he's faced with in some off-the-cuff ways. Nonetheless, Thorfinn's journey is just that, and I'm interested in seeing how much more this character changes on his path to being a true warrior. So if you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. This is something different from what I usually post on my channel. Usually I talk about series in their entirety. So if you rock with this, let me know in the comments. And of course, you know what to do. If you like the video, drop a like, and I want to know which version of Thorfinn you guys prefer. Let's talk about that in the comments down below. And if you rock with the video and if you rock with me and you want to see more dope content like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel. But that's all for now. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. I'm about to